Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Sree's daily global COVID-19 show. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism. Please tag your friends. Please hit share. We're live right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we are bringing you the story of COVID-19. We do these conversations every day in order to learn more about what's happening in the world and look at it from unusual angles. Please share with your friends. Please bring them on. We have a fantastic conversation today. We are going to talk about the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, and we're going to Geneva, where we're going to meet Melis Figanmese, who is the Senior Campaigns Officer, and Dante Licona, who's Senior Social Media Officer. This show is brought to you in partnership with Scroll.in, one of the most important publications in India covering culture, news, and analysis. We are also very grateful to all our sponsors who make this possible. So let me give a shout out to our two sponsors for today, PrimitiveBook.com. Primitive is a new future of work book from Hachette, a provocative look at some of the world's most successful people as they tap their primal instincts during moments of adversity. Barbara Corcoran, who's on Shark Tank, says Primitive provides a path forward to unleash your inner entrepreneur. And the great Daniel Pink, the best-selling author of Where, Drive, and To Sell is Human, says it captures insights and advice that everyone can use to thrive in constantly evolving workplaces. And we're also grateful to the Girl Scouts of Greater New York. Help us donate 100,000 boxes of cookies to healthcare workers. Donate today by going to this link, bit.ly/gscookies1. bit.ly/gscookies1. This ad is brought to you by an anonymous third-party donor. So by going to that address, by making a donation, you're doing three great things. You're supporting the Girl Scouts of Greater New York. You're supporting the healthcare workers who will get to eat their favorite cookies, and you're supporting our program. Thank you so much. If you would like to be a sponsor, we have very, very, very reasonable rates. This is a way for you to connect with me as we connect with the world. Please hit share. Please bring your friends from around the world to join us in this very important conversation with the IFRC. So without further ado, let me bring on here to join us, Melis. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Sree.
And she's on Twitter. Please follow her, Melis, M-I-N-E, and Dante.
Hi, Sree. How are you doing? Thanks for having us.
And he's at Dante_Licona. Please follow him on Twitter. We are so happy to have both of you with us to talk about what you are doing on social media and in communications as we've been thinking about everything that's changing around us. It's so important to make those connections. But first, let's talk about the IFRC itself, what it is, what it does, and how everybody is doing at this moment, considering all the crisis we're having. I'll start with Melis. Tell us about you yourself. Where are you? How are you?
So right now I'm in Geneva. I work on our campaigns at IFRC. So anything from the climate campaign to any big day that means a lot to IFRC. So that could be the Red Cross Red Crescent Day or any other holiday. So right now everything's a little stressful, I'll say. There's a lot going on. We've got a lot of work. As you might know, so IFRC is this umbrella organization over all of the local Red Cross and Red Crescent organizations. So there's 192 of the Red Cross and Red Crescents around the world. And the headquarters is based out of Geneva. So we're working every day hand in hand with our 192 local Red Crosses and Red Crescents around the world.
And how old is the organization? How do they all connect together? Can you talk about that?
Dante, maybe you want to take that. I don't actually know the age. Oh, it's 101 now.
That's right.
Well done. Well done.
That's right. We just passed our centenary. Dante, do you want to take the next?
Sure. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to join the IFRC team. I've been part of the team for a bit more than a year and a half. And we have been doing, it's a really interesting place to connect with a very dynamic network. Every single day we see the work of the volunteers around the world trying to help and improve their communities. And we from Geneva have an opportunity to take a look to everything that is going on around the world, and we try to curate the very best stories and tell them and share them with everybody around the world. That's one of the great pleasures of the work that we are doing, and essentially that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to connect with everyone around the world, showing that the Red Cross is everywhere for everyone.
Thank you. We have people watching from around the world. Mark is watching from Durham, North Carolina. Welcome. Jonathan's watching from the East Village, and he's got his mask on. We have Prayas who's watching and says, can we ask questions? Absolutely. These people are here to answer your questions about communications, about social media, and of course, about what all of this means and how to use it during COVID-19. Please tag your friends. I hope my guests have had a chance to do that. Share it on their personal platforms. We're very grateful. We're live on multiple platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're on Scroll.in's Facebook as well as their Twitter. Welcome to everybody who's watching with us. Please tag your friends. Please hit share. And we're wondering as we look at all this, how are your staff folks managing? You're under enormous pressure at a time like this as you're working hard to save lives. Melis?
I mean, I can only speak for our staff in Geneva. I know that the most important thing is that we realize that everybody in the world is in this together, and we're very lucky that we have this ability to connect. Us from the communications department is able to show the amazing work of our volunteers on the ground. That's something that we've been trying to do actually weekly through a conversation called Red Talks that we're doing. So we're trying to show the general audience, the general public, what our Red Cross and Red Crescent volunteers are doing on the ground every day. So that's one way that we're trying to keep everybody informed about what we're doing and how our Red Cross and Red Crescent volunteers are keeping, sane. We talk a lot about our volunteers' mental health in these conversations. We talk a lot about how they're helping communities. We have about 14 million volunteers around the world that are on the ground every day working within communities. So from Geneva's standpoint, how are we doing? Fine, but from I guess from on the ground, it's tough these days.
We have so many people watching and asking questions, so we're going to come to the questions. We want to remind everybody, none of us here are medical experts, so we can't answer the medical questions. We will refer you to the WHO, the CDC, your own government, your local government health department. We need accurate, quality information at this time, and we're so glad to see people joining us from around the world. Tell us where you're watching from, folks. Tag your friends, hit share, retweet our messages here, our video, so that everybody can watch us. Let's go to Dante. Let's see, one of the questions is from Tim Sohn, who is a social media expert watching from Pennsylvania. He says, what tools are you using internally to communicate while working from home?
So thank you so much for the question, Tim. And we were really lucky, as Melis was saying, because our team was already set for working remotely without any major disruption. In fact, thanks to tools like Slack, we are in close contact and collaboration with over, I think it's around 600 Red Cross communicators from all over the world. We have that system in place thanks to our colleague Benoit. He in fact was a visionary to implement this tool that was very, very useful for all the network. And we have been using it all over during disasters and during emergencies, responding to every single time that the Red Cross needs to act together as a network and collaborate with local actors. That's because of all that process, we were able to adapt to the COVID-19 working from home dynamic much more easily than other colleagues that didn't have that sort of system in place. So in that respect, we were super, super lucky. And I'm very, it has been relatively easy for us. I mean, and luckily, we also have an extraordinary cross-media team, and our teammates are amazing. Just as Melis is our senior campaign colleague, we also have our Damien, who is our video expert, Pat and Chris, who are doing our all things related to the website, Leah, who is doing analytics, Val, who is doing some design, and of course our manager Nick. So basically, we as the cross media team are really happy to collaborate and to share all these stories with the world.
Thank you. We have someone watching in Cancun. Welcome.
That's my mom. So hello, mom.
Oh, it's your mom? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hola.
Hola, mama. We love you. You've got a great son here who's been a leader in social and digital media. You should be very, very proud. If any other family members join, we're happy to give shout outs to all family members. We have someone watching from Delhi. Jagjot is watching. Thank you for being here. Please hit share. Please tell us where you're watching from. Please tag your friends. We have a great conversation, and we really appreciate your watching. Let's see. We have some medical questions, and I know you get this on your social platforms, Dante, so I'm going to just put this there. What do you say when someone asks you questions about medicine and you're not the medical expert? As a social and digital expert, what do you do?
Right. So this is something that I've been used to because before joining IFRC, I was part of the World Health Organization social media team. So in that respect, I am used to get those sort of questions. And usually, just as you mentioned, Sree, we refer our colleagues and everybody who is watching to the sources that are most helpful for them in their context, whether it's the World Health Organization website and fact sheets, or whether that is the local website of the local authorities of health. It all depends, of course. It's very important to refer people to the places where they have understandable, clear information in their language. That's one of the most important aspects that all solid public health authorities are working around the clock to make that information available. We know that the World Health Organization has mentioned that we are living right now in an epidemic, and it's a really challenging time for misinformation. That's why in every single forum that we have, we always need to encourage our listeners, our viewers, to go to the trusted sources of information, whether that is your local health authorities or international bodies, as we already mentioned.
And that's really, really important. So, but thank you for the question. We want to say to the person watching, thank you for the question, but we don't have the answers on the medical stuff. I am doing multiple shows like this every day. I'm doing a show, and often we have doctors, and when we have doctors or nurses, we're certainly going to answer your medical questions. And here's another question: what is the progress of the development of the vaccine? So now this is not exactly medical, from asking for like a health care perspective, but more of a policy where we're standing. So how do you deal with a question like this, Melis, if this comes on your platforms?
We have a director of health that we've been highlighting. So actually today at 4 o'clock, we're going to be live with him on TikTok, 4:30 on all of our other platforms. So we generally divert or hold these questions and ask them to our director of health. So if you have specific questions like that, please join us on TikTok. Like I said, this is Europe time, so Central European time. So in 1 hour and 45 minutes on TikTok, or in an hour and 15 minutes on our other platforms.
So we should just say that for most people listening, they'll be shocked to hear that an NGO, a nonprofit of such stature as the IFRC, is on TikTok. And that's part of the fun, and part of the reason we have you here is we're going to talk about how you're using innovative methods to communicate, to connect, and TikTok is one of them. And you guys have done a fabulous job with that. So we'll come to that in a minute. Let's just see some other comments that are coming in. If you're on TikTok and not following IFRC, you need to do that right now. Please go in and do that. Ying is watching from Hong Kong. Prashana is watching and says, how long do you think the pandemic will continue? This is a kind of question I get a lot on my shows. And what I say to people is that nobody knows the answer. There is no playbook. No one knows. The head of the WHO doesn't know. The head of any place, nobody, head or bottom, no one knows is the answer. And so what we can do is prepare as well as we can. And each of us individually has to do our part. And that's what's really important. But thank you for participating. Please share this conversation. We're going to learn a lot about communicating during this crisis. Sudha is watching from Hastings-on-Hudson, the mother of one of our colleagues, DigiMentors. We do so many of these live streams, and so mamas are in the house. We love that. Vipul says, do you see a second wave in South Asian countries like India, and can they bear the cost? This is a very good question. We have seen that all we can talk about is what has happened already. What do we know? We do know there are second waves almost everywhere, and we have to imagine that any country that thinks it won't have a second wave, including, by the way, the President of the United States, it never wants to mention that they would have to be completely different from the norm. And in science, you have to go by what's already happened and what we can predict and look at the models. That's all we can do. But thank you so much for watching and for sharing. Prayas asked a great question. Is your organization provided with sufficient funding? This is what we call a softball in journalism. So let's go to you, Dante, and then to Melis. Just talk about money, support. How are you supported? How is funding? How does it work before February 1st, and how does it work after everything has changed in the world?
No, absolutely. I think, and thank you so much for your question, Prayas. I think the dimension of this crisis is extraordinary, and because of that, it requires extraordinary efforts of relief efforts. And our organization came up with an appeal recently, and it's available in our website. Sree, I'm sure you can show that one. It's basically we explain how what are the requirements that our operations team have assessed, where do we know that the support is needed the most, and how the national Red Cross and Red Crescent societies are responding to that specific one. So thanks for that, Prayas. And of course, we are seeing very good signs of donors stepping in, but of course, the dimension of the crisis will require that the full donor community step up as well. As we saw as well earlier this week, the humanitarian community at large was exhorting and inviting the donor community to step up, because the requirements and the needs in the most vulnerable communities will be very, very big. That's why we need to come. It's not only a slogan. We are really all in this together. Nobody's safe until everybody is safe.
A really important point, and thank you for making that. We showed everybody how they can donate and get involved. There's a donate button, so that's a good way for them to participate. Folks, please post your questions. Please tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing all of you here. And one of the things that has come up, Melis, is that your campaigns, right? So talk about your work as campaigns officer, because there's a whole section on your website where you have your campaigns. How does that work exactly?
Just quickly before we go on to the campaigns, I did want to mention something else that people can do. That there are a lot of things that people can do other than donate, because we've seen that this really, like, finance is great. Donations are important, but a lot of things people can just do at the individual level. So no matter what people are telling you, like, it's very important to social distance. So just keep your distance from people. That's the number one thing that people can do. Wash your hands. So if you can't donate at the individual level, be responsible, right? These are things that if you can't if you don't have the funds to donate, be responsible and, take responsibility for yourself. So I would say that first.
Thank you. I just want to show Nitin's watching from India. We have people all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're in a fantastic conversation with the IFRC, the International Federations of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. And we have Melis and Dante from the organization. One is a senior campaigns officer, one is a senior social media officer. And Melis is going to explain how campaigns work and what does a campaign officer do.
So I sit in the cross media team. So I only really work on our digital campaigns. We try to involve programs and other other departments of the organization, but mainly the campaigns that I work on are digital campaigns. So I started last year, and our first major campaign was our climate campaign. So some of the really cool aspects of our campaigns have included influencers. That was actually, if we eventually, when we do talk about TikTok, our first partnership with TikTok was for our climate campaign. But so we don't actually do any fundraising through our digital campaigns thus far. They've really just been public awareness. We do ask that people will donate directly to our national societies. So we, the majority of our messaging for our campaigns has been public awareness. What are we doing? How can you get involved? And that would bring me to our COVID campaign, right? So we have many aspects of what we're working on right now for our COVID campaigns. And let's go in. Let's get into TikTok right away.
You're ready to talk about TikTok. Okay, so we're going to go to TikTok. Folks, if you are on TikTok, you should be following the at IFRC account, and we're just going to bring them on here. And first, I'll just ask Dante to set this up. When you both said we're going to do TikTok within the organization, how much resistance did you get? How much were people shocked, surprised, angry, disappointed, skeptical, nervous, etc.?
Well, that is a fascinating topic. I really thank you so much for the opportunity, Sree. So first, I would like to share what is our social media objective in IFRC. We want three things. We want presence, we want consistency, and shareability. In terms of presence, we want to be every day in every screen. We understand that social media enables us to have relationships with our followers. They decide proactively to follow us, so it's a privilege for us to be in their screens every single day. And we have a commitment to provide high quality content with nice stories that shows the action of our network. That's presence. Consistency to who we are as a movement, who we are as an organization, who we are as a network, as the largest humanitarian network. And in terms of shareability on social media, if we don't add elements of shareability to our work, the distribution will simply not reach to the people that we want. So we need to invest efforts towards the shareability of our work, so we can reach more people and more people can learn about what we do. That said, when we decided to join TikTok, we were early adopters, and because of that, we have a great opportunity to innovate and it was an open field. Our trend spotter in chief, Damien Naylor, who is our video guy, he told me about TikTok in December 2018. That is a long time ago. And he said, hey, we need to pay attention to this. And I was like, no, not really. And then back in February 2019, he told me, yo, we really need to pay attention to this thing. It's taking off. And then I took it seriously. We, as a team, we dedicated ourselves to understand the platform. We understood also that the financial community was also getting behind it. There were getting lots of media reports in early March 2019 about TikTok. And that's when I understood that platform had legs and that had lots of opportunities for everyone. And we reached out to TikTok, and we were very lucky that our counterpart, Yuan, who is our partner over there, she was a former IFRC staffer. So she understood who we were. She understood how fast we can move as an organization. She understood what is our relationship with the national societies, with the National Red Cross and Red Crescent all over the world. And then we basically started to experiment. We didn't know how to do it. TikTok is not a platform that you can just start and completely understand if you are beyond the age of 25. And I am certainly one of those people. So I have to really take it seriously, and all of us in the team started to spend hours dozens, if not hundreds of hours at the beginning to understand what was the opportunity for our organization in the platform. Once we understood that, then the fun part started. Then we started creating content, and we started very slow at the beginning. And then right now, I think we are on the right track. We just crossed 750,000 followers, and I hope that we can get to that million towards the end of this month, or towards the very first half of next month. So it has been a fascinating experience, and as Melis was mentioning, For Climate was our very, very big first success in the platform, and I think it will be great if you can, Melis, share with us how that came to be.
Yeah, sure. So For Climate, one of the biggest, most exciting things about the For Climate campaign was that, one, we were partnering with TikTok for this campaign. And we brought on influencers from all around the world, TikTok influencers that would help us create content. So our ask for this campaign was for individuals to take action, #ForClimate. So to do something for climate. It could be to stop using plastic bottles, to take a bike to work instead of walking. So in this campaign, we actually had a banner set up within the TikTok app, and I cannot remember what the total number of, it was nearly 1 billion, right? Video views, Dante, towards the end of the campaign.
I think it was
560
at some point 375 million, and then it was about 500 million. But the cool thing is that we can actually check the analytics.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will actually do that right now.
So our banner was actually available in countries all around the world, and some countries got notifications within app when we went live with the campaign. With TikTok, we actually created these filters and filters with filters that individuals can use to ask questions live, stickers. There was a lot of cool elements of the campaign that individuals could use individuals could use to take part in our campaign. So we had massive reach. I mean, this was the first time we've ever seen that sort of engagement in a campaign before, and we were really excited about the platform after that. We thought, this is insane. Like, we haven't seen these numbers before. So the For Climate campaign was the first start. That was our first test in the waters with TikTok then.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I just checked the analytics right now, and our campaign hashtag is with 512 million views.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting part was as well that back then, in September, 250,000 unique users actually took an action and filmed a video with our campaign hashtag, generating a little bit more of exactly what we wanted. People took action and participate in our campaign, doing something for the climate.
Yeah, and it was interesting. And the reason, like, we chose TikTok because for this campaign, not only to test out the platform, because we've never really used it before, but because we knew that this was the right age group that we wanted to target for the campaign. We knew that they would be engaged and they'd want to take it and make a difference, and it really shone through. It was obvious that they were excited about this topic and this theme.
Thank you, folks. Let's look at one of these TikToks. Let Dante pick which one he wants us to look at. And if there's audio, we can also hear some of the sound.
Sure. I mean, I think there's, if you scroll a little bit up, there's a fascinating, a little bit up.
Well, first of all, you're doing so many, Dante. Look at this. This is so many videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in fact, we are very happy because right now we are in a 2 TikToks per day rhythm, and that one that has 1.2 million views, that you have one person in PPE, in the personal protective equipment, and she's holding a sign. I think that's
this is the one. Oh yeah, 1.2 million. So let's take a look. We're going to play this. How long would this be roughly? Your videos?
We try to keep them as short as possible. This one is around 30 seconds, probably.
Okay, 30 seconds, everybody. You're on TikTok at IFRC. Everybody, please watch. Please follow.
That's it. And basically, this is a TikTok that shows this is where the multi-platform approach comes to life. Luckily, we have real life heroes in the front lines of the response to COVID-19 all over the world. And here we have Martina from the Italian Red Cross. That video that she shared was one aspect of a larger collection that our colleagues from the Red Cross magazine were putting together. So we used that same footage across all the other social media platforms. But one of the fantastic aspects of TikTok is that it allows you to use really engaging music, really engaging tracks that can make a big difference for your audience. So in this specific video is one of my favorites because it really shows how the life in the front lines is for a Red Cross volunteer that is dedicating her life right now in a very tough moment for her country to help people and doing it in a safe way. So that's why that's one of my favorite TikToks so far.
That's great. One question I have for you, Dante, is that I'm worried that if I show these videos with music, of course, there's licensing inside TikTok, but will I get a strike from YouTube for sharing this music because of these rights issues? So I don't want to get what they call a strike.
I fully get it, and that's one of the things that we are also looking at when we are at our content creation meetings. We are right now, actually, TikTok is the largest social media platform of IFRC right now. It took us 11 years to have 550,000 followers on Facebook, and it took us 11 months to get to 750,000 followers on TikTok. So because of that, now we're paying much more attention into the content creation strategy with a TikTok first approach. So we see what kind of powerful TikTok videos can work, and then we repurpose it for other platforms, precisely with the caveat that you mentioned, like the music licensing for Instagram or for LinkedIn or for Twitter or for Facebook. It will be a different story, right? So that's the sort of optic that we're right now taking, because we know that our most engaging audience right now is on TikTok, and that is a privilege, and also requires lots of work because it's such an engaged audience that we need to be engaging. And I devote a very fair share of my day going through the comments, learning more about the genuine, and the quality of the interactions is just phenomenal.
One of the things that, of course, when people listen to this, especially at nonprofits, they love hearing and seeing success, but they're also intimidated by the numbers, right? You have, 500,000, 750,000, 1 billion views, all of this stuff. When you throw those numbers around, somebody at a smaller organization will say, is it worth it for us to join if we can't get the numbers like these guys are getting?
And the answer is definitely yes, because 3 months ago, we had 15,000 followers. After a very successful campaign, as that Melis was mentioning in September. TikTok is a place where, with the right amount of creativity and effort, you can really get a lot of visibility. And it doesn't matter what is your niche. As long as you understand the platform and that you are consistent and you are bringing those stories from the ground every single day, there is a very high chance of success. And we are seeing it not only in our case, we are seeing it with lots of different partners and friends, like, for instance, our good friends from UN Migration or from UNHCR, from WHO. Everybody is now on TikTok because it's the platform that is grabbing everybody's attention. So it's a really fascinating time to be on that platform right now.
Can you tell us the numbers again? 3 months ago, how many followers did you have?
We were celebrating 15,000 followers.
15, and now you have 781,000 followers.
It's COVID.
Yeah.
We understood that the attention of COVID was very high, and we were also lucky that given the fact that if you search COVID on the platform, TikTok makes an effort to highlight some of the reputable sources generating content on that specific topic. So that's one of the opportunities that we have. And again, we are still in the wave of early adopters, and voila.
Yeah, thank you. And with so many great comments, people are watching from everywhere. It's Connor says hello. People are saying hello and complimenting you folks. I really appreciate that. We want to know from Melis, what is it like to work at a organization at kind of this global level? Many of us work at nonprofits that are country specific, city specific, town, even the village level, and you're at headquarters. Red Cross works in all of those levels, but what is it like to be at headquarters?
So from a campaign's perspective, it makes it 192 times more difficult because we have to think about how our messaging is going to work at the local level. So when we come up with a campaign idea, we can have an overarching theme, but it will only work locally if we have our local national society on board to adapt the messaging for their audience. So I can use the climate campaign or COVID for an example. Climate, for example, we can say, go ahead and stop riding bikes or stop eating meat, or ride bikes or stop eating meat. But in some countries that just is not feasible. So when you're working at a global organization, you really have to think about how the messaging is going to be received in all of these different markets.
And that's one of the challenges, isn't it, to do that? We've got a lot of questions and comments, of course, about the idea of flattening the curve. So let's actually look at this very important chart that is put out by the FT every day. I'm sure our speakers are familiar with it. They've certainly seen versions of this, if not, I haven't looked at this today, but let's just have a quick conversation about this chart and what it tells us when you see it. This is the FT and the amazing work done by John Byrne Murdoch. He's on Twitter at @JByrneMurdoch. And what it's showing is, you can see the China line, the South Korea line, Australia, the US, UK, Ireland, India. You can see the India curve there as well. And I'm going to ask both of you, where do stats fit into what you're doing? And not just the stats and graphics and infographics. Can you talk a little bit about that? Let's start with Dante and then with Melis. What is the value of infographics like this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's particularly in a challenging time, a time as challenging as the one we are living right now. People are looking for information that can give them a shortcut to understand the gravity of the situation. And yes, as you mentioned, this graph is very famous and makes the rounds every night. They put it out at midnight time here in Geneva. So before I go to bed, I take a look every single day. And it's fascinating how also they take into consideration the feedback from the audience to adjust some of the trends. This is a logarithm curve that actually shows it's not linear. If it was linear, we would see just crazy growth. This sense of data visualization actually gives you much more in-depth to understand trajectories and to understand what kind of public policy the countries are taking. So it's fascinating, and I'm a big fan of John. That said, when it comes to our work, we have always to face a dilemma, and the dilemma is whether we present the cold facts or whether we go with the stories. And just as, for instance, Melissa Fleming, the Undersecretary General for Public Communication of the United Nations, has mentioned, many times, statistics are stories of with the tears dried of people. So basically, these are very cold numbers, and we need to always remember that it's super important that every single case is a person, and every person that has been affected by this tragedy has loved ones that are suffering with them. And this tragedy has touched all of us in our personal lives. I have friends, I have colleagues, I have loved ones, I have family members that have been affected directly by this terrifying virus. And this is where we actually understand also the impact that we have and that we can have by sharing the stories of heroes, by sharing the stories of the people that have recovered, sharing stories of hope. So of course there is an extraordinary value for data visualization journalism and epi Twitter, if you like. For us, we go with the storytelling aspect of and showing that action on the field that is really making a difference in people's lives during this very difficult moment.
Thank you. And you mentioned Melissa Fleming, your former colleague living in Geneva, and she moved to New York from the UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, and is now leading global communications for the UN. And give us that quote again that you were quoting her.
It's something around the fact that statistics are people suffering with the dry teared off. Something around that line.
Yeah, it's very.
She gives it in a much more eloquent way, but that's how I remember that. But in any case, the point prevails, right? So when we start speaking about very large number of data and very large number of cases, we lose the dimension that this is affecting our loved ones, our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, and that's why it's so important again that it's not only a slogan. We are really in this together, and we will only be safe until everybody is safe.
Yeah, I want to show everyone that she's linked to Nick Kristoff's latest column. Another pandemic is looming on the heels of the coronavirus, a pandemic of starvation, illiteracy, and poverty. And Nick Kristoff was on one of our shows earlier, and connecting him here with Melissa and all of you. This is that global sense of this conversation, what we're talking about. We love to get your feedback. Please jump in here. Susana is watching from Mexico and says, learning a lot. Thanks for a great session. Good to hear of these inspiring people doing innovative communications during this crisis. Our friend Matthias, who's an expert on digital diplomacy, is watching, and I'm going to come to Melis for his question. Why are governments not active on TikTok? So far, there's only one. So I'd like to hear which one that is. I don't know if anybody here on the call knows, but which one is on TikTok, and why are more governments not active, Melis?
I think what it comes down to is people are just afraid. People are afraid that governments are afraid of the content that's on it, just because it's the unknown. When we were beginning to start our venture into TikTok, even within the organization, we got a lot of people emailing us articles of things that they'd seen or heard about TikTok. I think it's unknown, but our biggest response is that so was Facebook in the beginning, so was Twitter. Each social network, each social platform had its beginnings where people were just not used to the way that people were communicating on them. So I think the reason that governments aren't joining are because they're just they're afraid of the content so far.
And that's a good point. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Melis has a very, very important point. By the way, big shout out to Matthias, who released today his Twiplomacy report on how world leaders use Facebook. And it's a fascinating read. It was my morning read today in the morning. Great job, Matthias.
He's great.
That said, on TikTok, there are lots of governments now, Matthias. Not at the national level, but for instance, right now during the COVID response, there is a big outpouring of ministries of health joining the platform. Right now, the Ministry of Health of the Netherlands joined TikTok, and it's doing great stuff. The Ministry of Health of Germany, the Ministry of Health of Argentina, the Ministry of Health of the Philippines, And the Ministry of Health of Ukraine is also present right now on TikTok. In addition to, for instance, the equivalent of the NHS in the United Kingdom, in Mexico, the Mexican Institute of Social Security, they are also on TikTok. They are active. They are producing engaging content. It's a fascinating moment right now for where we are in terms of government communication, digital diplomacy, and adoption of TikTok. People understood right now that TikTok is not anymore a child's place. It's a place where yesterday I was actually having a conversation about this with my friend Luca Lamorte, the head of social from UN Migration. He was saying that 50% of the world's population is under 30, and everybody, that's the population that we also want to connect with on TikTok, the future humanitarians of the world, the people that will get inspired by what we're doing, and the earliest we can do that, the better. And yes, I completely agree with you, Matthias. We are seeing lots of ministries. There's another great trend, the police officers on TikTok. It's growing big time. I did also my research because my friend Tine Holev, the spokesperson for Europol, asked me to speak about it with her police officers crew. So there are lots of police officers using TikTok to generate awareness, to build confidence. It's essentially confidence building measures that they are taking to connect with a younger audience. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Thank you. Rose is watching, one of our producers, and she is live tweeting along with Londona_Menon. They're both live tweeting. She's at Rose Horowitz 31. Thank you so much. We have lots of comments coming in. Melis, tell us a little bit about your own journey. We have a lot of folks who are interested in the nonprofit world, the NGO world. Tell us about your background and how you got to where you are, and we'll ask the same question of Dante.
Yeah, so actually I was just thinking about this yesterday. Next year, I will have worked in the social media space for 10 years, which is crazy to me because social media has come so far in 10 years. I started out working at the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights as an intern in social media, and that was 9 years ago. And there this was before ads, this was before, social media ads. So the focus was really just on content creation. Then I worked at a small nonprofit. Like you were saying, people are watching from small nonprofits, Turkish philanthropy funds. I worked on communications there, but I realized that I really wanted to work at an advertising agency or a PR agency to get some expertise. So I worked at Catch New York, which is an advertising agency, and I also worked at Coin. I saw that my old manager was watching. Linda, hello. So I worked in the ad world and the PR world, and then actually I also took some time to freelance, which was great. So over those years of working in the ad world and the PR world, I really was mostly working on paid social. So I was running the back ends of, I worked for brands like Nike. I worked for brands like in New York, the New York Genome Center. So really different types of brands. I also worked in the B2B world, which is very helpful now when we work at the IFRC, which is kind of a B2B brand. So we're working mainly with our national societies, which is the local Red Cross and Red Crescents. So it's kind of a B2B relationship. So the journey that I've seen over social over these past 10 years is going from content is king to you got to pay to play, right? So that was a couple of years ago. And then now we're seeing this emergence of quality content is king again. So it's really been an interesting shift over the years. And now because of COVID, things are completely changing again. You see like the Daily Show, how they change their production quality, and everything is much lower, but that's what people expect now. With COVID, things might change in the long run. You might see less quality content, but more timely. So it's taken me a good 9 years, but so now working at IFRC, I knew that all the time while I was working with with for-profit brands, I always wanted to come back to the international organization nonprofit world. So here I am.
That's awesome. Dante, over to you.
Hi, and thank you so much, Sree. And this will be my closing remarks, because I need to run to a TikTok live actually with our Emanuele, our director for health. For me, it has been a fascinating experience. I'm a social media junkie. I've been doing this also, as Melis was mentioning, for probably 10, 11 years. I work I've been doing social media for the Mexican mission to the UN in Geneva here for 3 years. Then I joined the World Health Organization for 4 years. And then a couple of years, year and a half ago, I joined IFRC. It has been a fascinating experience. I've learned so much. I breathe and do every single social media as possible. I enjoyed so much, and yes, it was a pleasure really to have a conversation with you, Sree. Unfortunately, I need to go, but let's keep the conversation ongoing. And if I may, if I can invite your audience to join me later in 2 hours to a Twitter live tutorial how to do Twitter search. So that's going to be fun as well.
Oh yeah, please. And please drop that into our big Facebook group that we have, Sree's Advanced Social. Everybody can join that.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to learn about social media. So hope some of you will check that out and come there. And we'll put the link in there as well. So good luck. Please follow him, Dante Licona, on Twitter, Dante_. Thank you, Dante.
Thank you so much, Sree. Ciao.
Thank you. Melis, we'll let you go. We know you're also having a very busy day. Thank you so much for being here. We'll just pull up some more of the questions very quickly. And just to say to everybody watching, this is what is so great about the nonprofit world. We get to talk, we get to connect. We're all learning together, right? Nobody has the answers, as we keep saying, and it makes a big, big difference seeing here. So your final thoughts before we let you go.
We're all in this together. Nobody, like you said, nobody has the answer. Just keep, as we've been saying on our social media, it's physical distancing, not social distancing. So keep in touch with your loved ones, keep calling them. If you can follow us, we have lots of tips that we'll give you to keep your mental health sane. Also, just keep in touch with your loved ones and remember that all of us are in this together.
Oh, well, what a lovely note to end on. Melis, thank you so much. We wish you the very best in what you're doing. You're helping millions of people stay safe, and we love that. So thank you. Thank you to Dante. Thank you to all your colleagues in Geneva. We are having a side conversation with our friends in our Geneva social media group, and it's great to see you and all your colleagues there. So wish you the very best. Thanks very much, Melis.
Take care.
All right, so that's our two great guests who joined us today. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping and wrap up here. Thank you so much for joining us. All of this is possible because of your support. It's 9 a.m. Eastern here. Now it's almost 10 o'clock Eastern. We're starting very early with our shows, but this is already my third live stream for the day. We started the morning with an incredible opportunity to salute Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's 456th birthday, 456. And so we're using the hashtag Salute to Stratford to bring together an unimaginably impressive conversation and gathering with Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust, Escape Arts, Holy Trinity Church, where he's buried, King Edward VI School, where he went to school, Royal Shakespeare Company, Shakespeare Schoolroom that you can visit in Stratford, Shakespeare's England, Stratford Town Trust, the Stratford Business Improvement District, the local newspaper, the Herald, and the Town Council, all in one conversation. That was this morning. You can find it on my Twitter, as well as at Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, on my Facebook, as well as Shakespeare Birthplace Trust. It was a life highlight to do this. We are so, so grateful that we can use technology like this to connect the world. And then after that, my team did a Facebook and Twitter and social media conversation and concert with Hong Kong University, where we went live and out of America and Hong Kong, we watched student musicians at HKU performing a concert. And this tells you the kind of work that we can do on our team. We're so proud of our producers who put together everything from this show to our shows with our various clients. We also work and do the New York Times read along every Sunday. And we absolutely want you to join us 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We have a doctor, we have a great speaker every single Sunday. Claudia Dreyfus is going to join us from the New York Times to read the New York Times, which is going to be awesome. So please join us for that on Sunday. I want to, once again, as I always do, reintroduce our speakers, because you may have joined us halfway. We want you to know our speakers are Melis Figanmese, who is Senior Campaigns Officer, and Dante Licona, who is Senior Social Media Officer of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies out of Geneva. And they were here with us. We were so grateful for their time, their interest, and their insights that they shared. So anyone you know who works in NGOs or nonprofits needs to watch this show. Please tag them so they can watch this show on replay. We also want to thank our two sponsors. We want to thank Primitive. This is primitivebook.com, available at all fine bookstores and also online. Primitive is a new future of work book from Hachette, a provocative look at how the world's most successful people tap their primal instincts during moments of adversity, by Marco Greenberg. This is what Barbara Corcoran said: Primitive provides a path forward to unleash your inner entrepreneur. Go to primitivebook.com to learn more and learn about our friend Marco Greenberg. We're so grateful for their sponsorship. We also have a sponsorship from the Girl Scouts of Greater New York. I'll say the Greater Girl Scouts of Greater New York. Help us donate 100,000 boxes of famous Girl Scout cookies to healthcare workers. Please donate by going to bit.ly/gscookies1, bit.ly/gscookies1. We are so grateful because you will be supporting the Girl Scouts, you'll be supporting healthcare workers, and you'll be supporting this show. We are so grateful to everybody who participates. We want to also thank our partners at Scroll.in. Please check out Scroll.in. You can see the logo on the screen. Scroll.in is India's leading independent source of news, analysis, and culture, with a focus on in-depth political and cultural commentary. It aims to add critical perspectives to the most important news stories shaping contemporary India. Its journalists have won both local and international awards, including the Ramnath Goenka Excellence in Journalism Awards and the Red Ink Awards for Excellence in Journalism. So thank you very much for watching from around the world. We're so grateful. My name is Sree Sreenivasan. I am the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook in Long Island and in New York, in the New York area. And we're so grateful to everybody for watching. Marco should check out Trevi McDonald, says Mark Lee. She wrote a book about how successful people used faith to get through trying times decades ago. So that's fascinating. She's talking to Marco Greenberg, who's one of our sponsors. But thank you. We want your ideas. Here's a great heart from Jagjot. Thank you very much. Please tag your friends. Please hit share. We want more people to watch these kinds of shows. The entire archive is on YouTube. You can find me, Sreenet, on YouTube, Sreenet. Please go and join that, and you'll be able to see when we can see our archives. 41 straight days, 42 straight days we've been doing this show. And we also have a WhatsApp alert that you can get. It's an alert. It's not a WhatsApp group. And you can join by just using your phone. If you have an iPhone, just point the iPhone camera at it. And if you have instead, you have a Android, please use your QR code reader or use the Google app to do it. And that way we can connect and you'll get an alert every time I go live. I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for watching. It's 10 a.m. here in New York. Jonathan says, always a good program, Jonathan. You're wearing your mask. Thank you very, very much. And I see so many people tagging their friends. Susanna, Daryl, thank you, everybody. Please share the show. Tag your friends. The replay starts now on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Connect with me. Send me feedback. Sree@sree.net, SREE@sree.net. We want your feedback. We want your ideas. And thank you so much. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Stay distant. So, so important for all of us that you do it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.